So, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure again to have this webinar this week. So, this one is a special one because the topic is about SEO, and SEO. Everyone talks about SEO, and you've got SEO on Google, SEO on Amazon. There's loads of things about SEO, but today is a specifically interesting topic because it's SEO with the help of a tool and the Data Hawk tool. So, it's you will learn today on how to like improve your SEO and specifically in the context of having the right tool. And we'll talk a bit about Datahawk, obviously, with Pratik, which I'm really happy to have today. And
Happy to be here.
if you know our webinars, we always start with a fun fact about our guests. So Pratik, I want to hear a fun fact, right?
Oh, let me. So, have you guys watched the movie The Intern? With Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro. So yeah, that was me until just a few months ago. So, despite having 7.5 years of work experience, I started at Datahawk as an intern. So I interned here for 6 months, and that felt a little bit weird because when I was 23, I never imagined that at 30 I'd be working as an intern. So that was a little bit something I'd never imagined. And yeah, I was just thinking of that movie throughout, like I'm living that movie in life.
Yeah,
So,
no, but it can be a great experience, right?
oh
So
yeah,
I
for
hope it
sure.
was. Yeah.
I ended up working here full time, right? So
That's a good thing. So maybe you can talk a bit. So that was a good fun fact. So well done on that. So maybe you can say a little bit about yourself and Datahawk, and then we'll get into the topic of SEO.
Sure, absolutely. So Datahawk is an e-commerce business management software. We're headquartered in Paris, and today we're proudly serving some of the biggest brands in the world. Unilever, Samsung, Netgear, etc. I work here as a customer success manager. So my job is to make sure all of our customers, even the big ones, Netgear, Unilever, Samsung, they all understand the Datahawk platform fully. Everyone knows how to leverage us in the best possible way. They're essentially getting the most out of their subscription, and also providing strategic insights, because we essentially help you capture and assess your performance on Amazon, unveil competition, benchmark against competition, and then of course the reporting and analytical side helps you come up with the strategies that can help you. So that's also where I play a little bit of a role, helping customers get those insights. So yeah.
Interesting. So you can feel already the enthusiasm of Pratik. So we will feed from this energy. And my first question is like, why would a tool help you on your SEO? So what's it like? For me, SEO is about, and this is provocative, obviously, is like for me, SEO is about getting the copywriting and finding the right keywords and putting them in my content. So why would I look at SEO in the like with a link to a tool?
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a great question because, today on Amazon, there's over like 1 billion products. Anything you're selling, I mean, unless you're selling moon dust, you're going to have competition. There's lots of products that are going to show up in search results. I mean, if you just go to Amazon and just type toys, in the search bar, you're going to see about 1 million results. So how do you sort of show up in the top? Because the top 3 products that show up in search results on Amazon, 64% of clicks go to those products. 70% of buyers don't even go past the first page. So it's very important for you to make it to the first page. And how do you do that in a sea where there's over like 1 billion products, right? That's where a tool comes into effect because it helps you capture and assess how you are performing, organically for specific keywords. And, SEO is important because sponsored has become extremely expensive. I mean, back in the day when and look, I'm really bad at giving really simple and short answers, and just stop me if you've heard enough, okay? So
you can rely on me.
so back in the day, when you had these DTC companies like Harry's, etc. Back then, CPC cost was low. Right. And which is why they used to use like Facebook and Google and things like that. But after the ecosystem just exploded. There were so many brands that entered the space. Cost per click went up, which means it's no longer profitable for brands to acquire customers by way of advertising, which is why SEO is important. That's your bread and butter for sellers on Amazon today.
Yeah. And I think You're right, because one of the things is when you're talking about ranking on Amazon, basically you're talking about ranking towards a keyword. So
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
looking for products based on keywords. So it could
yeah,
be your
yeah,
branded keyword if you're known,
yeah,
like if you're Samsung, maybe people are looking for your product, right? But if
exactly.
you're like most of the brands, not people are not looking specifically for your brand, they will look for the keyword,
Generic
and
keywords,
then
yeah.
you rank based on that keyword. So it's true, like any brand will have maybe 20, 50, 30 relevant keywords. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
the tool basically helps you, right, to follow on each of those keywords what's your ranking and what you need to do to improve that, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, essentially keywords are what? Textual content. So when a shopper starts their shopping journey on Amazon, they start with keywords, which is textual content. And then Amazon's algorithm is going to scan like this whole universe of products to see which listings have those keywords and then show it to them based on a bunch of parameters. Right. So that's where a tool comes into play. It helps you assess how you do in terms of those parameters, which keywords are you performing well for, which ones are you not performing well for, and then optimize.
Yeah, and one thing is that the algorithm of Amazon. So there was
Yeah. It's a black
A9. I
box.
think they came to A10, and
Yeah.
I think nobody knows. So every like consultant, Amazon consultant, have his own recipe, and
Yeah.
like we've got what we've done in the past works well, but it's a black box, as you said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can the system, the tool, and specifically DataHawk, give you insights about okay, what's working well and not working well, or
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, so one of the best things is the keyword tracker, and SEO is our forte. That the keyword tracker, when you visit the keyword tracker on DataHawk, it shows you how any specific product from you or from your competitors are doing for a bunch of keywords that you're tracking. The first thing you got to do is find the most relevant keywords, right? And there's many sources for that. You've got your human intelligence, you've got your brand analytics, you've got the search terms report on Amazon, right? You use all of that to find the relevant keywords, and then you use the keyword tracker on DataHawk to see how you're ranking organically for those keywords. And then we have the market dynamics, because we essentially scrape all of these results and we make these tables which show you the organic market dynamics. I'll give you an example. So let's say your Casper mattress, right? And you have mattresses that sell for, let's say, between $500 and $800, because Casper is a premium brand, right? Now, there's a keyword, let's say, called mattress, right? So we are scraping all of the results that are showing up for the keyword mattress on Amazon, right? And we're making this database. And then we show you a table which says, okay, on page one, the vast majority of products that showed up for this search term, let's say, were priced below $300. Right? Meaning, if Casper's mattresses are priced above $300, the market dynamics simply don't allow it to show up organically on page one. Right? Because Amazon's algorithm has learned that when people type in the word mattress, they normally tend to buy products which are worth less than $300. As a result, if your product is worth more than $300, and you simply can't organically show up on page one, that's why you then need to start bidding. But these are the kind of insights, the market dynamics that we can help you surface.
That's quite impressive, and maybe you can share your screen for a couple of minutes just to show that report, because I saw this page where you have all those
Oh yeah,
keywords and all the numbers.
sure.
That's very like very intuitive, and it makes a lot of sense. This is a table, and maybe you can give us a few words what it. So I see some red, some green, some yellow.
Yeah,
So
we're
there's
running out
some
of
meaning,
shades
right?
now. So, okay, essentially what you're looking at right now is the keyword rank tracker on DataHawk, right? So I'm tracking this one product. Imagine this is your product, Tuft and Needle queen size mattress. So what you want to see is how this product is ranking on Amazon for the most relevant keywords. You can see here how this product is ranking for these keywords, right? So for example, if I hover, let's say, on March the 27th, this is telling me that my product, this queen size mattress, was showing up organically on page one. So yeah, the small number is the page number, and the big number is the position on that page, right? So this is telling me my product showed up organically on page one on March the 27th in the first position for this keyword. Not only did it show up organically on page one, it also showed up as a sponsored product on page one. Right now, when you scroll down, you can see how your ranking, let's say on March the 26th, fell to, so it was 22nd on March the 25th, fell down to 33 on March the 26th for this keyword, the queen mattress. So your performance is going down on this one. right? Or even the red ones, look, you're sitting on the second page, which means your likelihood of making the sale is very low, right? Because most people don't even go past the first page. So you can look at the keyword tracker to see on a daily basis how your ranking's evolving. Wherever your ranking's going down, you start to bid. Wherever it's sort of improving, just hold on to it. Don't make any changes.
And I find this is so that got me very impressed. Not that it's very difficult, okay, but it's very
Yeah,
impressive that you got those green,
yeah,
sort of green red
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a day by day. So you can see there's a lot of data to look at. So
yeah, yeah,
basically, if you're number one all the time on turf and needle, that's okay, good, and that's probably a branded keyword. So that's probably
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where you're
exactly,
good. But on the
exactly.
other ones, you can look
Yeah,
and see, okay, how well you're doing. So that's
exactly,
very powerful, right? So
exactly.
that's the first thing you can give, and I think where the tool is super helpful, because if you're looking at it manually,
Yeah,
if you're trying to find all the keywords and all the ranking for each day, it's too much work, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so many keywords per
yeah,
product.
yeah.
So the tool will help you do that, correct? And
Absolutely,
that's yeah.
absolutely. So essentially, when you come to, let's say, something like the keywords lookup, right? Here we're suggesting other keywords for which this product is ranked. Why? Because here you're leveraging DataHawk's network effects. Look, I'm showing you here. We spotted 135 keywords in our database for which this product is ranked organically at some point. How do we know this? Okay, the green ones are the ones you're tracking. The white ones are the ones you're not tracking. But some other customer in DataHawk's ecosystem was tracking these keywords at some point of time. And when we were fetching keyword ranks from, search results from Amazon for these keywords, we noticed this product show up in search results and in the 5th position. In fact, at some point of time, it was ranked number 1, which is why we're telling you, this keyword might be relevant for you, so you may want to track it.
That's very powerful. And I remember you showed me also like reports you're able to share. Like the
Yeah.
share a voice report
Oh,
was something
amazing. Yeah.
which impressed me. Which
Yeah.
because like brands, I want to know how how big they are, or how much that they're making of an impact on the
Yeah.
market, and how much they get of this share of views,
Yeah.
let's say, if not a share of voice.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed. Could you talk a bit about that report?
Absolutely. And this is one of our most powerful reports, and all of the biggest brands out there, they discuss these in their board meetings and stuff, right? So what this report does is it shows you your brand's visibility for the most relevant search terms. For example, if let's say, let me go back up a little bit. So imagine these 5 keywords are the most relevant keywords for your products. And here I'm looking at, these organic, natural body wash related keywords, right? You want to see how your brand is visible, or how your brand is performing for these search terms, right? So we run this report, and we ran this report, and we noticed 260 unique products showed up in search results for these search terms from 114 brands, distinct brands, right? And then here, on Amazon, the more visible you are, the more you're going to sell, right? So what you want to do is be as visible as possible. So we noticed, for example, there were 9 products, right, from a brand called Jason that were visible for these search terms. And these 9 products were cumulatively visible 272 times, the brand visibility, right? This is you essentially capturing as much visibility as possible, right? So for example, the more visible you are, the more you're going to sell. And these 9 products were cumulatively visible 272 times. The maximum possible visibility, guys, is 9, which is a number of products, into the number of keywords, into the number of days. That's best case scenario. Right? Off that, Jason managed to capture a visibility of 272 times. And that gives it a share of visibility of 5.2%. Meaning, statistically speaking, if I were to go back in time and search Amazon with the same, with these search terms, 5.2% of the time, I'd have seen a Jason product. This gives you your share of visibility vis-a-vis competition.
That's a super powerful tool, obviously, because that's exactly where you want to look at, like, why probably you're not performing very well, or
Yeah,
if one of your targets is not only sales but also brand awareness. That's a great
absolutely.
way of looking at it, because Amazon will not give you that kind of information. Now, let me be a bit cheeky. I know, like, we know when there's data scraping that
Yeah, yeah,
Amazon doesn't give access to, or the system doesn't give you access to all the sales and everything, right? Do you see like categories where it's working best and in some categories where it's not working, or generally it works in every cases? Like
When you say working and not working, what do you mean by that,
like
Jerome?
mean the accuracy of your data, could it
Yeah,
be more or less relevant? And specifically I'm talking about categories where 20% of the sales don't make 80% of the, like 20%
yeah,
of the
yeah,
products don't make 80% of the sales, like
yeah,
where categories are very diluted. Does that
yeah.
make an impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you're looking at page one, like I said, the top three products get 64% of clicks, right? So this report shows you all of the products that make it to page one, but it's rank agnostic, right? So for example, these 9 products from Jason showed up, but where were they ranking on that page? Were they ranking in the top 5 slots, or were they ranking down below on the first page? That's not visible here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're showing up at the top of the search results, not just at the bottom. So this
Yeah.
can serve as a proxy. Of course, there's no direct correlation between the visibility and sales, but there's a proxy relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it makes sense because you're not looking at sales, but visibility. So visibility
Absolutely.
obviously is that that doesn't mean that there was some sales
Yeah.
behind it. It only
It's a
meant
driver.
it's
It's a sales driver. The more visible you are, the more you're going to sell. And on like you said, Jerome, that there's no way for a brand to know how much of the market they are capturing and how much of the market their competition is capturing. But the visibility can serve as a proxy.
okay.
Like for example, look at this guy, Dove. 14 of their products showed up in search results for the same search terms, but only 9 showed up from Jason. Yet the reason Dove is ranked lower than Jason is because of the brand visibility. 272 times visibility for Jason and only 232 for Dove. This can sort of help Dove with the SEO strategy. They know that, okay, although we have more products, we're not as visible as Jason is, so we need to optimize for SEO.
Could it be possible that it comes from a the number of or variations that they have like 14 products, but
Yeah.
like they have less product visible because they're say in the same group of products? Could that be possible?
That's a good question. So the way we fetch, the data for this report is we literally just scrape Amazon's pages. So whatever Amazon is showing, we're going to show you here. So that's regardless of the child or the parent. If Amazon is showing a Jason product, we're going to show it here, regardless of whether it's a child or a parent. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but that mean the 14 products, that mean there were 14 products of the brand or 14
Yes.
products. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so we don't. That doesn't mean the 14 products appeared on the first page, right? So it's
14,
only as
14 distinct Dove products showed up in search results on
okay.
page one of Amazon for these search terms. And like you said, sometimes Amazon will show a child ASIN or a variant. Regardless of that, as long as it's a Dove product, it's going to show up here. It's going to factor in.
Yeah, and it makes sense that if even if you have less product, but if this one is more consistently like a hero product is showing up, then he will
Yeah.
be more successful than a family, which in general is successful. That makes a lot of sense. Now,
Yeah.
on the advertising side, are you following up also the like the occurrences on like the paid side? Because this blue, I can see there's some purple on the right. Yeah, right. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good observation. So what we noticed was, so this brand leaderboard essentially it gives precedence to organic brand leaders, right? So this shows you which brands were the most visible organically. When you scroll right, we're showing you their sponsored visibility. Look, what's interesting is, although 9 products from Jason showed up, organically for these search terms, only 3 showed up as sponsored products. Well, what does this mean? This means, this could mean one of a few things. Number one, it could mean that maybe we're not advertising aggressively, in the sense we're not bidding aggressively, because if Jason were to bid aggressively on all of these search terms, more of their products would show up as sponsored products on page 1 and not pages 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know what I mean? So maybe they're not bidding sufficiently, or number 2, they're not bidding on these keywords. Maybe they're bidding on a separate set of keywords. So if you're, let's say, if you're the director of e-commerce and your head of marketing tells you, boss, I have been bidding aggressively, but you're like, listen, where are my products? I don't see my products on page 1. when you look at this report. So you can tell them, listen, you need to bid more aggressively, which is increase your bids. You need to bid on the right keywords, and you need to make sure you bid more often, because I prepared this report for this 1 month period, February 28th to March 28th. Maybe this guy, whoever's managing Jason's advertising, is not bidding every single day. Maybe they're bidding on different days, which is why less of their products showed up. Does that make sense?
I'm calling the guy from the marketing guy from Jason right now. So, thanks for the tips, but may I challenge that a bit and say, okay, maybe because when you're doing your advertising, you've got organic and paid, right? Sales, let's say. And at the beginning, probably you've got a 70-30 where you're pushing a lot with your paid search and paid sales are 70% and organic 30, and then you grow, and maybe it's a decision from their side. So, okay, we are actually the one most viewed. Why would we pay? So basically, we're just giving money to Amazon advertising rather than actually we would get it already in 100%. Organic. What would you say that? How would you?
100%. This comes down to a brand strategy, right? So like you said, if I am ranking well organically, maybe I don't want to bid. Or maybe if I've just launched some new products, then even if I'm ranking well organically for, let's say, a set of products, I do want to bid super aggressively on my newly launched line of products. In which case, I need to make sure I have really high numbers on both the sponsored and the organic sides. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers, but it's always down. I think I agree with your point. It's down to your strategy of
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I would probably not as a leader brand. I don't know if I would systematically invest more, but I would probably, if you were the brand number 4 you were showing, I think it was Dove. I would probably focus on a hero product and focus my advertising to make sure I'm appearing more, at least on maybe a shorter number of products to appear better. But okay, that's me trying to do selling my strategy stuff. But don't mind me. I think that's very interesting. Now on the advertising side, do you have because you've got sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display? Are you a bit agnostic on the type of, or is it only sponsored products?
What do you mean?
Because on Amazon advertising, you've got sponsored brands, which is the advertising on top, where you can have up to 3 products, and then sponsored products which are specific. Are you making a difference here?
Yeah, no, so this particular report, we only look at sponsored product results. We don't look at the sponsored brands and the sponsored display and stuff like that. No, this is just sponsored product results. Yeah.
So makes sense because you're very product specific. Do you have any reports on the sponsored brand side to look at the branding also? Because in terms of share of voice, it could be interesting to also have an idea of how much you're appearing.
That's a good question. We right now we don't, but I think because we're a young company, we're constantly releasing new reports. Literally, if I were to do the same webinar 1 month from now, you'd see like a whole different set of reports, because every month we come up with new reports. So, but that's actually a really good point. And maybe I'll talk to the CEO and we'll talk about coming up with another report that also factors in sponsored display and sponsored brand ads. I'm actually making the note right now.
Yeah, good man. I told you, Pratik, I would I would grill you. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think we've gone through our first 30 minutes. So if anybody's got questions, now is the time to put them in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to answer them. If not, we'll go on and discuss. I have a question from Ines now. Do customers have to define the keywords, or are you tracking relevant keywords from Amazon automatically?
So both, like I said, you have your keywords lookup where, you're essentially tapping into a Datahawk's network effects, because some other customer, track those keywords. So we're giving you suggestions. And if you find them relevant, you can start tracking them, or you can put in your own keywords, right? Because ultimately, look, your brand better than Datahawk does. Without a doubt, right? Some of your keywords will come from human intelligence. Some of your keywords will come from brand analytics. And again, look, I'm not sitting with a crystal ball here, right? So in the sense, if you're, let's say, selling decaf coffee, there could be customers who might be searching for something like, organic, Ceylon, loose, stress-free black coffee, whatever, you know what I mean? And that you can get only from the search terms report. Right? So you want to make sure you go to the Amazon search terms report or the brand analytics report and, fetch some keywords from there.
Okay,
Does that
great.
answer your
So
question, Ines?
I believe so. So basically, you would be defining, yeah. So the answer was yes. You would
Okay.
be defining your own keywords, but the system can help you there also, as you
Absolutely,
showed
absolutely. Yeah,
before.
absolutely.
So I think that's a great insight. You can throw other Q&A, and I'll go on meanwhile. It's like in the, if you want to say, okay, what's, because there are another question. Can we look at different countries?
Oh, absolutely. So at DataHawk, we support 15 or 16 Amazon marketplaces. I think the next one on our roadmap is Japan. So yeah, we support 15, 16 Amazon marketplaces already. Yeah.
Do you already do Poland and Sweden?
No, so Poland and Sweden are yet to onboard, because I think Poland, have they already launched there?
I think they've. Good question. I have a doubt. Yeah, I believe so.
See,
I believe so.
that's
I
the thing. I
believe
mean,
so.
Amazon's moving at such speed; it's difficult to keep track. Sweden, I know they launched, I think, what, a month or so back, and no, we've not onboarded Sweden yet, but it's very soon. We have the Netherlands, I think, where they launched
Yeah,
just
yeah.
last year, so we have begun supporting the Netherlands. So yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to. Yeah, Amazon is live in Poland. Yeah,
Okay.
I had a minute doubt, but yes, it's true. So it's
Thank you.
thank you very much, Abrata.
Thank you.
So I think that's very interesting, and there are lots of tools, and we know a lot of lovely people which have got loads of tools, and honestly. Each tool has got really strong
Yeah,
parts
absolutely.
and weaknesses, to be honest. So let's
Absolutely.
focus on what's great. What
Yeah.
would you say makes DataHawk, and I'll try, and this is a test for you to be try to have in a simple way what makes it very and maybe I don't know if you want to go on sharing your screen or you don't have to, but
Yeah.
what makes it specific? What is specific to DataHawk, which you would say, okay, that's honestly it makes it's different and
Yeah.
it's doing better. Already the share of voice report, I don't think I've ever seen that in that form, at least, and I find it very interesting. Are there other things you could talk about?
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, there's a ton of tools out there, Jungle Scout, Helium 10, and if you talk to any seasoned seller, they will tell you that you have to use a mix of tools. You can't get all of your solutions from one tool. So, for example, like right now, we don't do advertising automation. It's on our roadmap. We're going to add it later in the year. We don't do it right now. So we have customers who use Selix for their advertising automation and then use us for the SEO and all of that stuff. Where we do better than anyone else is the reporting side, the analytical side. If I can share my screen once again, I'd really love
Yeah,
to show
go on.
you a simple report that I've got here. So Jerome, when you talk about advertising on Amazon, targeting comes down to two different things. You can either do keyword targeting or you can do product targeting, right? So we have this, and we have customers who've connected their sales and advertising accounts to DataHawk, meaning we know how they're doing in terms of advertising, what campaigns they're running, which keywords they're bidding on, how much are they bidding, what is the ROAS, and all of that stuff. So we have this report which customers can generate on a self-service basis where we're auditing the performance of the keywords they're bidding on, right? So for example, this is a sample report, which I ran for, let's say, this time period, this 11-day time period, January 9th to January 19th, right? And look, we notice, and this is a sample report, it's been anonymized. So we noticed this guy, they bid on 212 distinct keywords, right, over that 11-day time frame. And this was the impressions count, the ad spend, the ACOS, and the ROAS. Where it gets interesting is, look here. So these are all keywords from that client, from the client's account, and it's been anonymized. It's showing you the top 50 keywords by impressions and how each keyword did in terms of impressions, clicks, CTR, costs, all of them, most
What's
important KPIs, including your ACOS and your ROAS, right? And look, this is all automated here, algorithmically driven. We've got recommendations, right? So for example, the third one, we're telling you be more aggressive. Why? Because your ROAS is 3.69, right? What would
what's the color code? Like deep blue is good,
yeah,
dark
so
blue is
yeah,
good, and light and white is not so
exactly.
good.
It's like a heat map. Exactly. You're bang on. It's like a heat map, right? So
Yeah, but
what
a
we're telling
cold heat map because like blue is cold, right? Yeah.
so, so what we're showing you here is be more aggressive on the third one. Why? Because your ROAS is 3.69. And when you scroll a little bit down below, what we've got is a quartile, which shows you your lower quartile in terms of ROAS, your median, and this guy's lower quartile. So let me scroll down slowly, right? You can see that this guy's lower quartile for ROAS is, so this is the first row is a low quartile, right? Your lower quartile for the ROAS is 2.54, meaning 75% of the keywords you're bidding on are doing better than 2.54x, right? Which means when you put in $1, you're getting 2.54 back, and 75% of the keywords you're bidding on are doing better than that, which is why we're telling you for this specific keyword, the
Be
third
more
one.
aggressive. Yeah.
Exactly. So what you want to do is this specific keyword is in all likelihood right now part of a campaign where it's bunched in with a bunch of other keywords. If this keyword's doing so well, what you want to do is move it to a separate campaign of its own, and give it its own budget. And which is why we've got all kinds of recommendations here. Keep it running, optimize it or shut it down, because this one has no ROAS, right? There's another one here, optimize. And again, this is just one leaderboard, which is top 50 keywords by impressions. You have things like, top 50 keywords by clicks. And, there's a bunch of leaderboards in here. Top 50 keywords by conversions and ROAS. So when brands get reports like these at the click of a button, their life just becomes so much easier. You know what I mean? They know exactly which keywords to bid on, not to bid on, what's doing well. This is where we help. We make their life easier, these reports.
They need to spend the time to because it's always that. It's like when you get a lot of data, you need to spend time to analyze that data, because
Right.
every
Yeah,
day can mean a lot of work. But so
exactly.
if I put it in my own short words, like the data hawk, like it's in the name. It's like your strong point is in data, right? And it's
Absolutely.
crunching data and giving like insightful reports.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I think that's it's
And
pretty impressive. Yeah.
and also, Jerome, all the brands I speak with, something I hear very often is we want to work with one platform. We don't want to work with a bunch of platforms out there, right? So right now we're only integrated with Amazon in the sense, we only show you results and all of that stuff for Amazon. In Q2, which is already begun, we will have integrated with Walmart as well. We have just begun beta testing with Walmart, and in Q3 we'll have integrated with the entire Shopify ecosystem, right? Which
Okay.
means if you are a brand that's selling not just on Amazon, but your own website and Walmart, and we have quite a few customers like that, you can use DataHawk to support you on all of those channels.
Pretty impressive. That should keep your
I'm not a
dev
sales
team
guy.
quite, yeah, your dev team quite busy. That's really interesting. Now I have another question, which is if let's say a brand has multiple or a company has multiple brands, right?
Mhm.
And they want to have different access to the system to different brands. Are you
Mhm.
able to tailor like inside the same seller instance to give
Absolutely.
different access to like different people from different teams from different brands? Is that possible?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of agency customers like Tinuity, Celesly, some of the biggest agencies out there. And these agencies are handling like all kinds of clients, a bunch of them, right? So and they don't want to give access, let's say, to one client's data to another client. So we have something called white labeling, where you essentially let's say you are the admin, right? You'll be able to access every client's workspace, but specific customers or specific clients will be able to access only their own workspace. They would have their own distinct, login, credentials and stuff like that. They'll only be able to log into their workspace. They'll have no idea what your other brands are doing. Does that answer your question?
That does answer. So even for one seller ID with multiple brands, that works
Yeah,
also.
you can do it however you want, right? So for example, let me show you DataHawk quickly once again. So if let's say these are all your brands, right? So you can create multiple projects. So let's say you can create, keep all your, so let's say you're Unilever, which literally sells everything under the sun, right? So they can keep, let's say, their personal care products in one project. They can keep, let's say, another line of tea related products in a different project, and so on. Or if they have different brand managers, or different countries, all on DataHawk, they can create separate workspaces. In which case, the guy who's managing, personal care will have no access to what's happening in the T segment.
Makes
Does that make
sense.
sense?
Makes no, it makes sense. And in terms, so you're working with APIs. Maybe you can yeah, great. And on the APIs, you have to link to one API for sales and one API for advertising, right? It's two different links, correct?
So if you want to connect your sales and advertising data to Datahawk, you don't need to be connecting with APIs or anything. You simply come to Datahawk, you press a button and you say connect my account, and we'll start fetching all of the data. You'll have nothing to do with APIs. If as a customer, if you want to fetch information via APIs, we can activate the APIs for you. You can fetch the raw data via APIs, use a Power BI or any analytical tool to make your own dashboards, etc. At your end. But API is not mandatory for you as a customer.
Okay, so but we still need to link the account with the master user. You still need to link it to Datahawk, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's not mandatory in the sense only if you want Datahawk to capture your sales and advertising data, you need to connect that stuff. And here's the thing: so today, Amazon stores advertising data for only 60 days. Meaning, if you want data for what happened, let's say 3 months back, unless you've been storing it somewhere, you can't access it, right? So our customers also use us as a data warehouse because once they connect the advertising account to Datahawk, we start storing all that information. And 10 months down the line, I can give you 1 year's worth of information.
Yeah. And so you were saying, you were implying that we don't have to connect our account to Datahawk. What would
Absolutely.
be in which instance would you use Datahawk and not link your account? What would you follow?
So something like keyword rank tracking. So for example, let's say if you're a vendor central customer, you don't have a seller central account in which you just want to see how your products are doing for certain keywords. Right? And your SEO strategy and stuff. For that, you can simply just come to Datahawk, add your products, add your keywords, and start seeing, on the keyword tracker how things are going. Or also the listing analysis, right? Track competing products, see, what kind of keywords they're using, stuff like that. Or also, something really powerful that we have is the alerting solution. None of this requires you to have connected your accounts. When you use something like the alerting solution, so let's imagine your Netgear, and you have, let's say, an unauthorized seller that's selling a product, right? You can create an alert system on Datahawk, which will alert you anytime there's an unauthorized seller selling a product. And you'd be alerted and you can, get that person removed from Amazon then. And you don't need to connect anything for that.
Because you're scraping basically the information.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So anybody got any question? Just do throw them to Pratik. Otherwise, he will have only to get my questions. Another question I had is do you have any tips, or did you learn through the AI basically things about SEO, or tips about how SEO is working, or what you should do best, what's working best between keywords on the title versus keywords in the back end, keywords in the bullet points? Do you have insights where you've seen best results?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up back-end keywords because it's something that people, I think, don't pay sufficient attention to, but I think they can be super useful, right? For example, if you're, let's say, selling body wash and, you don't want to use something like the word shower gel on the front end, you can put it in the back end. Even misspellings, like I don't know how to spell moisturizer, right? Thank God for autocorrect, but I have no idea. So, and, a lot of people get those things wrong. So you want to put misspellings in the back end. Right, misspellings and synonyms like shower gel instead of body wash. You can definitely leverage the power of back-end keywords to rank higher in search results. Right, so that's a little bit on the. By the way, it's a little complicated on Amazon because they've reduced the limit to like 250 bytes and not 250 characters, bytes. I don't know why they did that. Meaning, so I think any alphabet between A and Z, like Z, is considered 1 byte. Any number between 0 and 9 is considered 1 byte, but the euro symbol, that's considered 3 bytes. So you got to be careful with that.
And the space is a byte too. So
I don't know. Is the space a byte? Because last I read, spaces weren't considered weren't
they
using
weren't. Okay, so it's accents and things like
but you never know. Amazon may have just updated because there was a time when the limit was 5,000 characters. And now it's down to 250 bytes. So maybe they've changed their algorithm. So yeah, that's when it comes to the back ends. On the front end, how you at the beginning you mentioned something about the A10 algorithm. Where the A9 is now evolving into the A10. Something they've also started doing is giving importance to offsite traffic. Meaning, if you have a product listed on Amazon, you want to start advertising that product outside of Amazon, because if you are getting outside traffic, to your Amazon PDPs from outside of Amazon, Amazon's going to boost your organic visibility. The way Amazon's algorithm works, the A10 or the A9, is essentially looks at traffic and sales data, right? So if you're getting outside traffic data, Amazon's going to reward you for that. So yeah.
That's super interesting because we've started a new service of off Amazon advertising, and the first results we're seeing on some of the brands is that there's an attribution tool inside Amazon, but it's not working very well. There's some
Oh, okay.
like we are seeing sales grow, and we're
Huh.
sending Facebook and
Huh.
Instagram
Huh.
traffic, and we
Huh.
see sales grow, but the
Huh.
attribution shows there's no sales from
Oh,
Facebook.
really?
So but we
Oh,
believe the attribution tool is not working well. So
yeah.
it shows to your point that things are growing well, that they are paying a lot of attention to the traffic. But let me drill down a bit on my question. Is like, have you, because your system is analyzing basically what people are doing, and maybe the changes you're making, and how much impact it has on your ranking. Like, are there any findings that you've had looking at all the brands you have, and like what kind of what are there changes which have more impact based on data, or is it difficult to say?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I would definitely say, make sure that you maintain nice PDPs in terms of your titles and your bullet points and things like that. And Amazon has very specific guidelines. So for example, they want bullet points to be under 255 characters. You know what I mean? They don't want something like, oh yeah, when you talk about, let's say, correlations and things like that, you don't want to have, let's say, ending punctuation in bullet points. You want to start, so you want to start, let's say, only, when you're writing a bullet point, only the first word should start with a capital letter. All the other words should just be lowercase. Whereas it's the opposite for the title. When you're looking at a title, every single word in your title should begin with a capital letter. So these are some of the correlations and trends, patterns we've seen on Amazon, that people who do tend to have these, do tend to comply with Amazon's listing quality guidelines, they do tend to rank higher for sure. Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen a lot of people do bullet points
Yeah.
with capital, like the beginning or the highlight in capital letters,
Uh,
and then
uh,
the rest in lowercase. So
uh,
you would say that from what you've seen,
yeah.
it's working better when you're everything in lowercase. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to bullet points, only the first letter of the first word should be capital, right? The rest of it should all be lowercase. Whereas in a title, every single word should begin with a capital letter, except for things like, articles and small words like a and the, things like that. Those should all just be lowercase. And also don't use promotional wording, neither in the back end nor in the front end. In the sense, don't use words like best quality, low price, things like that in your title or your bullet points, because Amazon, so this brings me to keyword stuffing. A lot of people try to sort of stuff their keywords with a bunch of words in there. But the thing about the A9 or the A10 algorithm is, not only does it look at traffic, it looks at conversion rates also. So maybe let's say you've just created a new listing and you've thrown in like the whole universe of keywords in there, right? What's going to happen is, initially maybe you'll generate a lot of traffic, right? These people are going to come to your PDP, but they're not going to be, they won't be able to make sense of any of the information. That's not going to be legible, right? Because you've just thrown in like a bunch of keywords. They're not going to buy your product. As a result, your conversion rates are going to be low, right? And as a result, in the future, Amazon's going to downgrade your product in visibility. You know what I mean? Which is why you want to avoid keyword stuffing. Don't just throw in random keyword words out there.
Yeah.
Just pick and choose.
I feel there's less of that these days. Like at one point, and especially in the States, you could see like listings which were really a bit over the top. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And do you have like success story versus fail stories you could share about what has specifically worked well for brands to do and what has backfired? Do you have any of these which you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there was a time when, it was all about price. You basically listed at the lowest possible price and you'd sell. And this is the e-commerce era of, let's say, 2011, 12. Just list as many products and you can sell at the lowest price. But what's happened now is that in terms of pricing, brands have come down to the bare bones. You can't go any lower beyond a point. And not only that, you have a whole lot of competition now. So you have to take a data-driven approach. And people love to drop words like data-driven, but when I say data-driven, what I mean is you have to track how your product is ranking for every single relevant keyword out there, right? The ones where it is performing well, fine. The ones where it's not performing well, optimize your SEO. Start, running ads on those things. You got to monitor your account like a hawk. It's no more just about listing at the lowest possible price, because like I said, Amazon's algorithm looks at a bunch of parameters to decide, where to place you in search results, right? And you got to track competition, because once you start tracking competition and you see which keywords those guys are ranking well for organically, if they're ranking well for a keyword, it's most likely because that keyword is driving sales for them, right? Amazon's algorithm has learned that when somebody types in this search term, they tend to buy this product, and as a result, it starts to feature it prominently in search results. Can I share my screen for a minute? I have something super interesting to show you on the DataHawk platform. So I'm going to come to my account here. Give me 1 second. I'm not sharing my screen now, am I?
No,
right? All right, give me, it's difficult to tell sometimes. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, so I'm going to start sharing now. Jerome or any attendee, can you give me a category that's important for you? Any Amazon category?
Yeah, let's go with oral care.
This one, Jerome, the first one?
Yep, very good.
Perfect. So let's come down to history. Yeah, perfect. Look, I'm sure this makes no sense to you right now, right? It'll start to make very crystal clear sense very soon. So
reminds me of noodles in
spaghetti chart, exactly,
pasta.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So from beginning to end, every single line here is a unique ASIN, right? Every single line here, beginning to end. Now, on the y-axis, you've got sales ranks, 0 to 100, 1 to 100, right? Meaning the top 100 products in the oral care products category, right? Now, on the x-axis down below, you've got a time frame, the last 1 month, starting March the 10th and ending April the 8th, right? Essentially, what this graph is showing you is how the top 100 products are evolving in terms of sales ranks over the last 1 month. What's interesting is, look, in the top 10 ranks, you see some straight lines or relatively straight lines. You see that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After that, it becomes extremely volatile. You see that? Is it making sense? You see how it's so volatile here, whereas there's some straight. This means once a product attains a top 10 sales rank, it tends to become stable. Why? Because Amazon's flywheel effect manifests, right? Because it becomes a best-selling product, Amazon starts to feature it prominently in search results. Because it shows up prominently in search results, it becomes more visible, more people click and buy, and then the flywheel keeps spinning. So what you want to do is you want to constantly monitor your sales ranks on DataHawk, see how many units you're selling, and make sure your sales velocity is maintained. In the sense, run promotions or whatever you need to do to make sure you always hold on to your top 10 sales rank position. Because once you're there, it's very difficult for anyone to displace you, as is reflected in this category. You can literally pick any category on Amazon, you're going to see the same results. Yeah, stability in the top 10. Yeah.
I remember it was an analysis done by Analyze in Germany showing that the top I think it was the top 100 products throughout the time had been same more or less, that the best product kept being the best. And
exactly.
But it's like once you have a winning product, and you need to keep it and fuel it, because that's where it's like it works best.
Absolutely. So. And sooner or later you'll get an offer from Thrasio to buy your brand.
Well, yeah, that's possible, but it's true. It's happening a lot these days. So yeah. I don't know if anybody's got any final questions before we wrap up. But I think it was very interesting, and I think DataHawk is like a lot of these tools, and I'll need to keep up to date with all the tools which are around the Amazon space. Is quite a lot of work. I'm super happy to have been able to go into the details. Maybe you can share with us one question before we How does one generate their share of view report on Datahawk?
Yeah,
How
by
to
clicking a
generate?
button. By clicking a button. Shall I share my screen? I can just show it to you.
Let's do it.
So cool. So you'd come to your account. This is your Datahawk account. You'd go to reports and automation here, right? Come to reports and automation, go to the report center, right? You scroll down to keywords. You've got your share of voice here, right? You can hit run or you can hit schedule. If you schedule it, you'll get the report, at your chosen frequency, be it like every Monday or, whatever chosen frequency, or you can run it. If you run it, you're required to tell the system which keywords, specific keywords, or a project. If you go with a project, by default, all of the keywords within that project get selected to run the SOV on, right? And then you select your time frame and then you hit run. And when you run it, you're going to get the share of voice analysis report in your mailbox. You need analysis credits to run these reports, and you can buy your analysis credits by coming to billing and subscription on Datahawk. Agratha, does that answer your question?
I believe so. That was a very detailed answer. So
I told you I'm really
practicism,
bad at keeping things simple and short.
no, that was simple and short. So well done. If there's no other questions, I think we'll wrap it up now. Maybe you can share with us how is the best way to get in touch with you. Pratik will send your contact details and email in our follow-up email. But is there as a way? Is like on LinkedIn the best way, or email?
Yeah, I'm super active on LinkedIn. Just find me there. I'm happy to connect with you. Just happy to talk about online retail. I'm super passionate about online retail and now about SaaS also. So yeah, happy to connect with all of you and get to know you guys better for sure. And learn something from you for sure. Yeah.
So thanks for your enthusiasm and energy.
Thank you, Jerome.
I feel
too much
like
coffee.
I'm full of energy also. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you,
You also,
all of
Jerome.
you.
Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely. And thank you to all the attendees who showed up. It was really nice presenting to you. Absolutely.
Great indeed. So everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you again in our next webinar, which will be in April. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And have a
everybody.
great evening. Bye-bye.
You also. Bye-bye. Thank you.